Picture this in your head like a split-screen video. On the left side, you see the pure athleticism of the Olympics. Two Taekwondo athletes draped in their national colors, bouncing on a perfectly flat mat. They're wearing padded headgear and chest protectors. One of them explodes, a blur of motion, and lands a picture-perfect spinning head kick. A sensor beeps. Points go up on the board. The crowd applauds the incredible display of flexibility and speed. It's clean, it's controlled, it's a beautiful sport. Quick favor, tap like to spread this. It's free. It's a game of tag played with the feet at a mind-boggling velocity, governed by 1,000 rules. Now look at the right side of the screen. It's grainy, shaky cell phone footage from a dark alley behind a bar. There's no referee, no pads, no honor, just raw, ugly violence. A guy, maybe fueled by cheap beer and ego, is rushing forward, head down, throwing wild, looping haymakers. He's not thinking about points. He's thinking about ending things right now, over and over again, until the other person stops moving. It is brutal, unpredictable, and terrifyingly real. The contrast is jarring, man. On one side, you have precision, speed, and rules. On the other, you have chaos, brute force, and survival. This stark difference is at the heart of a debate that has raged for decades. People see point scoring, defensive gameplay, and they dismiss it. They say it's sport, not self-defense. They say those flashy kicks would get you killed on the street. But is that really the whole story? The question is this: does superhuman Olympic speed belong in that grainy alley? Can sport-tuned physics be a weapon, or a liability that gets you hurt? We'll dive into the science, the timing, and the brutal realities to separate myth from what can save your life. Before we can even start to break this down, we got to be on the same page. Let's define our terms. When I say Olympic speed, I'm talking about the pinnacle of fast twitch development honed over tens of thousands of hours. It's the ability to launch a lower limb attack with such velocity it's almost a perceptual blur. 2025 studies show impact durations as short as 10 to 32 milliseconds. That's faster than you can blink. It's not just moving fast, it's generating explosive force in a tiny window. On the other hand, street power is not technical, born from real-world violence. The wild haymaker, the head-down bull rush, the desperate shove, driven by adrenaline and aggression. The goal's not to score, it's to overwhelm, to concuss, to incapacitate. Often sloppy and telegraphed, but fully committed. Less about efficiency, more about brute force. Now, the thing that actually ends fights: impact force, the pure physics of the collision, measured in kilonewtons. Olympic kicks can hit as high as 8.5 kilonewtons. That's like a small car dropped on you, for a fraction of a second. Street punches generate force too, but over a longer duration. That timing difference is critical. It's two philosophies of force. The scalpel one blinding, high peak impact. The sledgehammer less precision, full body uncoil. Which is better when there are no rules and your safety is on the line? That's the million-dollar question. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the physics, because this is where it gets really interesting. It's not just how hard, but how fast force is delivered. Push a car and it rolls. Hit it with a wrecking ball. Same energy, totally different effect. That's peak versus average force. Recent research on Olympic Taekwondo kicks shows impacts from 0.34 up to a devastating 8.5 kilonewtons. Key point: impact durations are insanely short, between 10 and 32 milliseconds. As collision velocity increases, peak force climbs while duration shrinks. The profile becomes a sharp triangular spike. Looping street punches have power, but spread over more time. Your body can register, brace, and roll with it. The Olympic kick is a needle. The street punch is a fist. You can survive a fist. A needle to a critical spot is different, especially when that needle is a heel bone. That tiny 10 millisecond window overwhelms structural integrity, jaw, temple, floating rib before the system can distribute force. Bulletproof vests work by spreading force over area and time. The Olympic kick does the opposite: maximum force on a tiny spot in a microscopic slice of time. Result: a system shutdown event. The physics are only half the battle. The other half is inside the nervous system. Olympic level kicking speed is about beating your opponent's brain. Human reaction time is a biological bottleneck. Hundreds of milliseconds to see, process, and initiate a block. A kick can be over in as little as 10 to 15 milliseconds. It launches, lands, and retracts before the brain finishes processing the launch. No time to flinch, brace, or turn. Research shows Taekwondo athletes have exceptionally fast perceptual processing, faster than karateka and non-athletes. Legs take longer to command than arms, so they learn to see sooner and exploit tiny openings. A haymaker is telegraphed. An elite turning kick explodes from the hip with minimal tell. The fight is a race, kick velocity versus neurological processing speed. Based on the numbers, the defender almost always loses. Okay, so the physics and the neurology look good on paper, but a street fight isn't a science lab, it's a chaotic mess. We have to honestly test the limits of sport-honed techniques. Legit arguments exist. What happens off a flat, matted surface? What happens when the attacker crashes in? Uneven pavement, cracked concrete, maybe it's wet, maybe gravel. A complex spin becomes risky. One slip, one unseen curb, and you're on your back. Simple experiments show stability and speed drop. The base of power is compromised, kicks are harder to throw effectively. The street brawler's instinct is to close, grab, and smother kicks, a phone booth fight using strength. Olympic Taekwondo is weak here. Rules discourage prolonged grappling, so the gap is real. In scenarios where the only goal is to clinch, kicking power drops to almost zero once grabbed. Your primary weapon is neutralized. Then fatigue, mental and physical. An Olympic match is structured, the street is adrenaline and cortisol. The terror-driven cognitive load breaks precision. Fine motor control degrades into clumsy movements. Olympic beauty is born of a calm, focused mind, a luxury you don't have when someone's trying to take your head off. If your Taekwondo only works under Olympic rules, that clean head kick beeps and then you get rushed, clinched, and slammed. So, are you a martial artist or just an athlete playing tag in a dobok? Olympic Taekwondo is designed for points, not self-defense. Points won't stop a 200-pound attacker who doesn't care about rules, referees, or your highlight reel. When real violence hits, only effective actions remain. No resets, no warnings, no second chances. The single biggest counter-argument is the leg grab. Just grab the kick and it's over. There's truth to that. In MMA, slow or telegraphed kicks get scooped. The kicker ends up on one leg, then the canvas. It's a massive vulnerability. Sport rules penalize grabs, so athletes kick without fear. Training can ingrain non-functional reactions, but the rebuttal is speed and setup. Elite Olympic kicks are blindingly fast. Catching one is like barehanding a fastball, mistime it, and you pay. Smart practitioners don't throw naked head kicks. They feint, use hand setups, and train retractions and conversions to knees and elbows. Technical problem, technical solutions. Train more completely. The myth says sport equals soft, ineffective for self-defense. People see point fighting and assume watered-down technique. But the same training that touches headgear can drive a heel through a jaw. The intent changes, the mechanic doesn't. An 8.5 kilonewton strike and a 10 millisecond impact are not soft. These forces can be catastrophic. AI-powered scoring systems in 2025 to 2026 integrate sensors and classify technique and force rewarding powerful, decisive kicks over light taps. On the flip side, the street power mystique is mostly cope. Wild haymakers are inefficient and telegraphed, exposing the thrower to precise counters. Speed and timing beat sloppy power. The one who lands the first clean, powerful shot has a massive advantage, and speed lets you be that person. Olympic sparring trains attributes, speed, timing, distance management, precision. Dismissing an elite kicker because of rules is like dismissing an F1 driver's emergency driving. Open on that mocker, calling it pajama tag, then watch a skull-cracking Olympic head kick. The average street warrior is a slow, uncoordinated target next to a 2026 tier Olympic athlete with superhuman neurological firing rates. Power is often a cope for people too slow to land a hit. Tonight, we run a brutal, data-driven showdown. This is a part of the conversation the martial arts world avoids, but it's crucial. Let's say your Olympic-level speed and power work. You see the threat, react, and land a devastating head kick on a rushing brawler. The fight is over. Now what? You're standing over someone unconscious or worse. You'll explain it to police, a prosecutor, maybe a jury, why you use that level of force. The law revolves around reasonable, proportional force. Use the minimum necessary to neutralize and escape. A high head kick rarely looks like minimum force. It's designed to cause a knockout, a traumatic brain injury. Even if you feared for your life, it can look like excessive force. That's an ethical and legal burden. Is it better to use a push kick or leg kick to make space even if it's less decisive, or deploy your best weapon and face the fallout? There's no easy answer. This is why de-escalation is the most important self-defense skill. The best street fight is the one you avoid. If you can't avoid it, remember the fight doesn't end with the hit. The legal battle can be brutal and last years. Using a head kick means you must clearly articulate that you had no other choice and feared grievous bodily harm or death. It's a heavy burden. After physics, neurology, counters, and consequences, what's the final verdict? Can Olympic kicks end street fights? The answer is a resounding but qualified yes. The fight-ending potential of a high-speed, high-force kick is undeniable. The data on impact force and the neurological advantage of speed are clear. To dismiss it as just sport ignores the science of combat. Speed kills, and Olympic Taekwondo is trained speed incarnate. However, that potential is only real if you train for chaos, uneven ground, bad footing, surprise rushes. Attributes from Olympic training are priceless, but a sport-only mindset is a liability. Combine speed, precision, and power with gritty, close-range survival skills. Practice your kicks and your takedown defense. Drill clinch escapes. Defend wild haymakers. Manage distance on rough ground. Build your foundation on speed. Make fast twitch kicks second nature. Then pressure test in street sim drills with leg grabs and bull rushes. Work your close-range defenses, knees, elbows, clinch escapes with the same intensity you train kicks. The goal is a hybrid. End fights at range with speed, but survive and counter if distance collapses. This isn't about style supremacy, it's about what works. Evidence says the Olympic kick is a phenomenal weapon, but a weapon is useless if you can't deploy it or protect it from being neutralized. So, do you want a cannon you might only fire once? Or mastery of the close-range knife fight? Or be the truly dangerous individual who trains to do both? Let the debate begin. Now I want to hear from you. Are you training for points or for reality? Is Olympic speed the future or a liability under pressure? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The myth of street power versus Olympic fraud. The street warrior is slow next to a 2026 Olympic athlete with superhuman neurological firing rates. Power is often a cope for people too slow to land a hit. Let's transition to raw physics of impact. Today we find out if Olympic speed is a weapon or a liability that gets you hurt. Viewer discretion advised. All demonstrations are controlled.